this institute that you're attending and its educational division, the whole unit is not one man by any manner of means, and has never been. All the way back, beginning in 1958, 59, there have been supporters, participants, ranging from physicists, psychologists, doctors, MD types, engineers, a lot of those fellows, and surgeons, educators, professors from various universities, and a goodly number of other similar types have made their contribution through the years to what the Institute is now. And the best way you can get a handle on that is look at the texture of our current Board of Advisors. Will give you a feel for that. Look at our professional division and you get another feel of what we really are. And beyond that is this mass of people who are simply having a good time because they've participated either in a gateway or something akin to it. So that would give you another feel. The second thing is that I'm sure if the team didn't tell you that the interesting change that took place all the way in 1985, if you can believe it, from 1950, very quickly in 1985 we moved it over into a non-profit status and a separate, independent organization from the interstate industries. So it's important to know that that movement and why it was made. So in our organization, no one is taking down six-figure salaries or anything like that. It isn't that kind of thing. Well, there's not the money to do it, of course, too. But that's not the motive and the motivation of the Institute. But these were the two things that I keep forgetting to tell. And I'll move it over here because it's more viewable. And I did cover that where you are, did I not? See what else I can find in here. Oh, I found a nice, clean, bare sheet. Isn't that fine? Now, I did also give you the line of demarcation, did I not? All right. We're going to take another look at that particular LD and give it another kind of form, just for the plain meanness of it. Can everybody see this with reasonable viewing? Fine. The LD, line of demarcation, bang, bang, crash. Now, let's put below the line, which again is the area of the knowns, remember? Let's put a big mass of disorganized stuff, and that disorganized stuff is human thought. You would be amazed the depth of disorganization that you find in it when you view it from another perspective. Be that as it may, with all the stuff that you know of which humans think and the mix of it, that radiates out, wham, 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 whip, like that. And there is an inverse square law at work, I hope, but we're not sure. On the other side of the coin is that eternal M field that comes down through here like this and radiates through there. Now, a funny thing has happened on the way to the store, as it were, where we, us, how and why did we get here? This is the thing that is a subject of great curiosity, to say the least. Well, let's take a typical one, but not the most important one. Here, we are moving along here, and boing, we hit that part of that radiation, and we smell it, taste it. What's that? So we move in a little lever over here to another, and we get another taste of it. We say, you know, that's real interesting. I wonder what that is and what that's like. So you're trying to figure a way where you can move in here because it's getting pretty strong stuff and sticky and this kind of thing. So you're very cautious. And at that particular moment, as you're contemplating, you're perceiving all this in here with great curiosity. All of a sudden, this big man, that's a misnomer, a he-she, that's more like it, appeared and said, what do you want? And you say, oh, well, what's that down there? He says, that's humans. And you say, well, can I go closer? And he says, well, not unless you be human. You say, well, I'll be human. He says, you what? He says, well, I'd like to be human. And he says, well, I suppose you could if you really wanted to. And you say, well, how do I do it? He says, well, just call me Ed, incidentally. I'm the entry director, and just so you can call me Ed for short. You say, oh, yes, Ed. Okay. He says, the first thing you have to do in order to be human, you say, oh, don't misunderstand. I just want to get a taste, a sample, and zoom in and zoom out. That's all. I don't want to stay there. Oh, no, I wouldn't think of staying there. That's just a taste, just a little sip. And Ed looks at you and says, yes, I understand. So what you do in that process, he says, the first thing that you need to do in order to be human is recognize that time-space exists. And you say, well, somehow I perceive it. There it is. He says, well, what you perceive is only part of it. There's a lot more to it than that. And you say, well, I'll take my chances. He says, well, the other part is that you have to recognize that when you become human, that you have an important thing you must do in order to be human. You say, oh, what's that? He says, well, you have to have shut off all of your present memory and your present self. Otherwise, you can't generate this human consciousness. You say, oh, sure, I can pick it up when I get out. And he says, yeah. And he says, the other thing is that you are really on your own, because that's what that is down there, is that people are on their own. Those who come in and become human make supposedly their own decisions. You say, oh, I'll make my own decisions. He says, yeah. So he says, now, if you really want, we can set it up. You say, oh, sure, I could go. He says, all right, first thing you got to do is, what do you want? Do you want to be male or female? And you look and say, what's that? He says, never mind. He says, can I select for you? Oh, yeah, you tell me which way. All right, fine. He says, the next thing is that you have to make a decision of where you want your entry point is. And he says, that's a decision that you have to make, because there are kind of problems. He says, for example, on Park Avenue in New York, there's a wait list line, a long wait list line to get there. Can't get Marin County, California, long line, that kind of stuff. And he says, Beverly Hills, almost impossible. But he says, we got plenty of fast takers, say in Africa, instant service, you can get in right away. South America, the same thing, easy, no problem. And he says, and I can just really rig it. And you say, well, that first one, it sounds pretty interesting, but you say it's waitlisted. He says, yeah, Park Avenue, forget it, but in New York. He says, and you say, but if it's New York, and it's close to that waitlisting, isn't there any place in New York I can get in? And he thinks this is, yes, I can get you in, as a matter of fact, pretty quickly. Just right now, just wait and see. You see, that's fine, you're right. He says, all right, you got to be careful now. Remember, you're on your own. He says, oh, I can make it.